So he says to him, Steve, Santa paused. You get it? You don't get it. It's your problem. You have no sense of humour. How we doing, everybody? It's Kev Ashford back in the saddle for the road trip. We're off to Old Trafford here on the biggest Man United fan channel in the land. This is the United Stand, and it's Manchester United against Nottingham Forest. Previously, with Manchester United, we had the midweek trip to Arsenal. You know, what are you thinking on that? Never mind, you lot. I'll tell you exactly what I thought. We got done by Corner FC. Yes, Arteta has apparently... Oh, the bullshit I've had to listen to this week. Arteta he's reinvented the corner. I mean, he's taken it to a different level. Bullshit. Horseshit, in fact. Taking it to another level. Like, honestly, if Tony Pulis or Sam Allardyce was doing these kind of set pieces, they'd be frowned upon. They'd be ruining the game. And if they were doing it against that Arsenal team, Arteta would be the first to say it. Honestly, man. But I mean, what you have to say is it's effective. It works for them, and it's actually in theory won them the game. But I mean, the Arsenal game going into it, you looked at it and thought, is this something we could get, a point out of? Could we get the 3 points? We didn't. I didn't feel we were necessarily in a position to compete. I think Ruben Amorim knew this, and I think that's why he set up the team in that way. Nobody was as surprised to see Tyrell Malacia in that team, but he obviously likes him. He obviously knows on that, that side that Saka was going to be a huge threat. But in terms of the set pieces, it's up to Manchester United to come up with an idea and some way to combat that threat, and that's where we fell short midweek, and that's it was annoying. I'm not going to lie to you. I've got it out my system. And whilst I've got you here, you might as well just go ahead and finger that like button. Team selection has become very, very interesting. I've actually called it as Ruben Roulette because it is, you just do not know what this manager is going to do. It is refreshing in a different kind of way. Obviously, I think we did stagnate under Erik ten Hag, but I am expecting today, again, there will be that sort of selection in that team where you do look and you go, wow. It blows your mind every single time. But this is because Ruben Amorim is going to stick true to his values and the system that he wants to play. And for me, if you are not on board with this, see you later. Do you know what I mean? Here's the door. Yeah, I'll lock that just in case anybody comes by. But, he's going to have to very, very quickly identify the players that are going to play the system. And if we go back to Wednesday, it's a tough game to judge. We could look at it in isolation. If you want to be really harsh, you could say, what did Rasmus Højlund do in that game? Very, very little. But at the same time, you could make an argument that he is not getting the service. And for me, again, Garnacho, there is so... The interesting, I say interesting, the worrying thing, change interesting to worrying, is in the final third. And the players, the way he wants to set up, thought Mason Mount did really well. I think he's a player that Erik ten Hag, that Ruben Amorim, see, it's still in my head. He's living rent-free in Kev's head. Ruben Amorim obviously likes Mason Mount, but Bruno in the six, I honestly don't think he affects the game at all. And I think we know that more long-term, Ugarte and Kobe Mainoo will probably be the mainstay too in there. So then further forward, you're looking for creativity. Mason Mount does have that. Is there room for Bruno and Mount? That's a question for the comment section. Make sure you get in there and let me know who would be your two number 10s moving forward in the Amorim era. But goal scoring, yes, we put 4 past Everton. This on Wednesday night against Arsenal was his first proper test. If you want to be harsh, you can say he's failed. But for me, I've seen enough positives from that game to take into today's game against Nottingham Forest. The fact that in that first half, it was all part of the game plan. We controlled it for large parts of the game. We quietened the crowd down, and that told you the nervousness from the Arsenal perspective. The Emirates almost turned into the Etihad for long periods of that game. You could literally rarely hear a pin drop in that stadium. That was testament to the game plan and the way that United were playing at that time. We controlled parts of that game. But obviously, once you go 1-0 behind, goals change games. And that was the annoying thing, that from that point on, we were then going to have to chase the game and change our approach, which was going to have to be a bit more direct. But we didn't create enough opportunities. And it's looking evidently, I say this now, whether it's January, whether it's going to be the summer, we need a goal scorer up top. And I am not for 1 minute slagging off Rasmus Højlund, but it's just so clear that Amorim will have his own idea, whether it's a Gyökeres or, whoever he wants to bring in, his guy. We need somebody that is going to put the ball in that net. But against Nottingham Forest today, Kev is confident. Are you confident? Let me know in the comments section, because I think more long term, we know that the two in midfield, that's starting to even itself out. And even if defensively, I've got no issues defensively. I think we're heavily stacked. I think Lenny Yoro, is that somebody that could start today? Could we see him get his first Premier League start? I think it's hard to work out Ruben Amorim, but I think he's going to hold him back slightly. Yes, he was kind of thrown into the Lions' den in a losing situation against Arsenal, but for such a young lad to come into a game like that, I thought he looked very confident, assured, putting some really, really good tackles. I think he's going to hold him back. And let's not forget, over the Christmas period, we've got a lot of games. I think it's these kind of wing-back positions that are really, really up for grabs. De Ligt has been colossal, I think, as a double deal with him and Mazraoui, as Kev calls him. Do you get that? Mazraoui? Yeah, of course you do. I do feel that was Kev's Thomas Muller moment then, when he said Robert Lewandowski. We call him Lewandowski, and all the reporters like, yeah, no bad, we got it. We just didn't find it funny, crack on, son. So we'll just forget about that one anyway, even though it's going to go out on YouTube. But for me, further forward has become the major headache, and that is because of the way that Ruben Amorim wants to play. Question marks over Marcus Rashford, Garnacho. I didn't think ripped up any trees, or in terms of an audition, he certainly didn't pass it on Wednesday. Again, am I being too hard? We were playing a team that has a system, a style of play. They've had a manager in place, for a long time to get his ideas over. But the one thing for me is, in a short space of time, I can see the idea. I can see what he wants to do. We've got a manager, and I'm not a massive fan of passion merchants, your Klopps and all, animated managers and that. But on the passion side of things, yeah, it's just because, you look at Ruben Amorim, he spent more time out on the touchline in probably 1 or 2 games for United than Erik ten Hag did in 2.5 years. But the thing for me is the instructions. You look at the Ipswich game, and he's telling Casemiro to push up. And Casemiro, obviously, it's not part of his game, but he's being asked to do something. And these players, all the information they're taking on board, they're going to find it challenging. But as Roy Keane would say, you get paid a lot of money, and that's your job. That's your job. I know, it's rubbish. I know, you'll all be laughing and saying, God, Kev, you've absolutely killed the Roy Keane impersonation. But I'm going to say one thing, and I know you're going to say he's got his red-tinted specs on again, but Manchester United will win this game today. I'm telling you, man. You can clip it up. I'll be there. And when the match finishes, and I'll say, I told you. They've come off the back of a bad result midweek against Manchester City. And Man City have been dog shit recently. So I think at home, maybe if it was away, a little bit more tricky, a little bit more challenging. But at Old Trafford, with the crowd behind him, it gives Ruben Amorim another game in which he can experiment. I'm sure he'll call a wild card where we'll all be like, whoa, didn't see that one coming. And I'm all here for it, so let's see what happens. And make sure you get into the comment section. Let me know, are you as confident as Kev on this match day. It is Nottingham Forest travelling to Old Trafford. I'm confident. I think we will get the win today. Let me know your score predictions. King Kev merch description, or it's in the description if you want to buy. I'm joking. It's not. It's just a top that I've seen, and I thought very fitting. I will buy that one. I'm having a bit of that. That's what I'm having. But thanks very much for the last video. All the positive comments. Absolutely love it. And stay tuned here on the United Stand. Obviously, we'll have your countdown to kick off. We've got the watch along, the fan forum after it. You've got an action-packed full day of content. So why would you want to go anywhere else? Stay with the Georgie best of the United fan channels. That's what I'm talking about. And for United today against Forest. They're named after a forest, for Christ's sake. If we can't beat this lot, we might as well pack up and go home. But for United today, you know what's coming. Health and safety first when you're going to bang the head. But come on! United!